Welcome to Peak Personalities. This is a series we'll be doing bi-weekly with me and Nathan. The concept will be going by one series at a time, talking about some of our favorite moments, and for now, we're covering Bleach.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Nate. We've got X over here, and we're doing peak personalities today. What do you think my character is this week?
See, every time I guess Shunsui, I'm wrong. So I feel like it's time to not guess Shunsui. I kind of want to specifically pick from Shinigami's, but I'm pulling up the Shinigami list, so my guess isn't like complete dog water. I'm gonna guess Byakuya.
Wow, what a guess! All right, congratulations, you won a prize. I don't know what that prize is, but we'll let the chat decide. So my character this week is Byakuya Kuchiki. He is, for us, just get right into it in our brief intro. He's the head of the Kuchiki clan, and he is the captain of the Squad 6 in the Gotei. A couple things about Byakuya that comes to mind is that he's very aristocratic, if that's a word. Very nobilistic, if you will. He has a very calm demeanor, very by the book, if you will. Has a lot of pride. Zanpakuto is one of the more unique ones in the series that we were originally introduced to, which made Bleach one of a really unique series. Because when you got Shinigami and you got a bunch of people with swords, it's like, well, how much can you do? And well, Byakuya has this wonderful thing called Senbon Zakura, and his thing has these beautiful little flower petals that literally cut you. They're literally just a bunch of mini razors, and they can literally slice you to death. So he is a very cool character to me. I always liked him, especially when we first got introduced to him. I was like, man, you beat this guy. And of course, Ichigo, Ichigo's answer to everything is, gets a good Tensho and speed blitzing, but you know what? We already had our power scan for Bleach and Ichigo, so we're gonna give the spotlight to Byakuya today.
Well, first things first. I think it's my first successful guess in the entire series.
It was, and it was a great guess. I'm actually happy you got it.
I would say if Byakuya actually has one of the best character arcs in Bleach. A lot of characters do have their own character arc, but usually it's like a smaller scale and kind of shorter. We actually get to see 3 distinct tonal shifts for Byakuya throughout the series, and it makes him enjoyable to just watch the progress, even if he's not like one of your favorite characters.
So would you say he's not one of your favorite characters?
He's up there. He's a strong middle of the pack for me. I'm just saying, like, if you don't love Byakuya, I still think there's a lot to appreciate about his character because of how he changes throughout the story.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think he's one of our better written characters in the story that I'm glad Kubo really devoted time into. So let's move on to our next thing. It actually has plot implications. Okay. So, Byakuya in the series was first introduced in that Soul Society arc and he showed as like kind of a rival / main antagonist for that for Rukia's execution, and he looked like definitely like someone Ichigo needed to reach up to in terms of power scaling. From a power scaling standpoint, and for me, when we first got introduced to him, I was like, man, like this dude like, just walls Ichigo. Like this dude is probably like one of the top tier guys. Now, obviously, the captains do hold that position and title as they grow in power as well. But Byakuya definitely showed a class of as a captain as being someone that nobility and calmness gave me feelings of wow, he's tough. Like he's not one to break. He's not one to be shocked or have that screaming typical anime antagonist moment like, oh, how are you this powerful? Like, he still holds that very calm demeanor, and that's one of the things I liked about him.
I do love his SmackDown talk to Ichigo, where he starts going to the history and ability of what Bankai entails. And he's saying how you need to train for like 10 years, you need to be from nobility. So how is this little mutt doing such a thing?
And that's one of the big things about Byakuya as a character is that he really gets morals and his ideals and things that he has grown accustomed to get challenged. And he's not one to really appreciate those and like those, as he constantly roasts Ichigo, saying that's not Bankai.
He was right.
He was right, but he wasn't right in the way he was thinking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
like that's like it's Bankai became a whole different thing towards the Thousand Year Blood War arc. That was one of his biggest things because Byakuya doesn't really add too much major to the plot. Like he doesn't have any like other than the Soul Society arc. I think is probably his most impactful because he mostly puts it as a supporting role throughout the rest of the arcs. Like in the Iranka arc, I think the Zomari fight and him saving Rukia is probably one of the main things I could pick from. I know he fought. Oh man, what's the big dude's name?
Oh, Yami.
Yami. I think him and Kenpachi just went ham on him.
I can't believe they off-screen that fight. That was such a
Yeah, they
waste.
off-screen that fight, which is kind of crazy. So I mean, I think it's implied that they kind of just walled him with no effort.
Their bigger opponent was each other, not Yami.
Yeah. And I mean, it was nice to see some competitiveness out of him for that. I don't think we got too many interactions between Byakuya and Aizen. Or Urahara, I don't think. I don't think we have any major, like, talk back or...
Byakuya is kind of out for the count. I mean, he had his nice hero moment where he blocked Gin's attack when Gin tried to kill Rukia.
Mm-hmm.
But then he couldn't really help Ichigo Renji attempt to fight Aizen, and then he was in Wakamundo when Aizen was in Fake Karakura Town, so...
Yeah.
I think their biggest moment is when Byakuya is pissed that Shinsui brought Aizen out of Muken.
Byakuya's plot implications for 1,000 Year Blood War arc, in my opinion, him being alive is kind of like, it was wild. I think the way that it was written up, I think it was a very, we're just going in a strong character moment right now. Byakuya is very noble. He has a calm demeanor. He is not one to go against his ideals and morals. What he has set up and what he's grown into early on in the series to what it is at the end, where he's in tears looking at, this is one of my favorite Bleach moments, and it's the plot in this character moment. It just shows a broken man who he can't protect his squad, can't protect the Soul Society. He is relying on to what he thinks is a human to go not only save him but save his squad and the Soul Society, to save his adopted sister, to save everyone, trying. And he's looking at Ichigo. This is something Byakuya would never do in the beginning of the series. But he is in tears knowing that what he's about to ask Ichigo is absolutely asinine. And he shouldn't even have to do it or even expect Ichigo to give an answer, but he knows Ichigo will do it. And that's one of the strongest character moments, I think, in probably in like, I would even argue it's a top 5 character moment in a lot of animes, from the transition he has made and the not softness he has for Ichigo, but the respect he has going against everything he believes in, because that's how much his ideals have been changed and affected. But what you got?
Well, I'm going a different direction with this.
Okay. Oh yeah, please.
So my strong character moment, the moment for me that started to change the way I perceived Byakuya was when we already knew he had really strong beliefs in the start where he's like, I can't dishonor my clan, and unfortunately to not dishonor my clan based on what I have already made mistakes on in the past is to let Rukia die. And Ichigo unveiling the cover that Rukia was sentenced to die by Aizen, not the Central 46, not only opens Byakuya's heart to Ichigo, but also opens his heart to Rukia. And this comes into play when he comes to rescue Hinachiro and Rukia against Zomari. And the fight, it's not the most spectacular fight.
Yeah.
But what keeps it notable in my mind is when Zomari is about to lose and he goes off on a spiel about how our Soul Reaper is going to be so high and mighty, like you're better than us, and it's your duty to exercise hollows. And Byakuya's like, what, mate? You thought I was killing you because you're a hollow? No, I'm killing you because you pointed your sword at my pride. And it's not his pride to be a noble or to be head of a clan. He has now acknowledged Rukia as part of his legacy and his pride that needs to be protected on that same level. And that's, for me, where I started considering him as a strong character.
Wow. No, I think you're right, and I know you're right, because Rukia is a very interesting aspect, not only the Kuchiki clan, but also for Byakuya, because, like I said, he has that nobility to him, and that, follow the rules and don't go against what he grew up with, and being part of having pride in someone else and being able to go against not only your clan but against the Soul Society. So that's probably the biggest thing within the Soul Society arc is that change that he has, influenced by Ichigo, I believe, but to have a different respect and viewpoint for Rukia. I think we even see that in the Asno fight that he starts treating Rukia differently, especially when she releases her Bankai. All right, so now we're going to move on to our biggest surprise. I think my biggest surprise was honestly him surviving the Thousand Year Blow arc. Kubo really struck. Like when I was reading this live, I was like content. I was hurt that Byakuya died, but it really set the tone for the Quincy's of like who they were. That they meant business, and like him just bloodied up against the wall. I was like, wow, he's like dead. Him surviving was a surprise to me. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why is he alive? How is he alive? And I'm like, and even for plot implications, like he was there for the rest of the Thousand Year Blood War arc, but like
He didn't do much.
I mean, yeah, in the Gerard fight, he was just kind of there just to, oh yeah, wow, watch me, I could, shoot more petals at you, and they're stronger now.
But you almost could take Byakuya out of the story after that point, it wouldn't change like a thing.
And that's what I'm saying. And I get it, the Gerard fight made things interesting, so you needed, but they could have done way more. And this is a big surprise for me that it actually, I believed, actually kind of negatively impacted the story. Because I don't think Byakuya adds anything further to the story, nor to Rukia, if that, even post Thousand Year Blood War arc. So I thought, that's a big surprise for me. I don't know, you got another one?
I think it's kind of a sweet moment that Byakuya steps in that Asnot fight.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
And he's like, Rukia, I'm here. I support you. But like, this is your fucking fight. Like, go get him, boo. And he walks away.
Go get him, boo.
But like, that's literally all he has to add in the Thousand Year Blood War. It just doesn't feel significant enough for him to be alive after that impact, because it was shown some true stakes to the Bankai plundering. For me, for biggest surprises, unfortunately, I never thought Thousand Year Blood War would be animated, so I already knew he lived. So I couldn't really be surprised on that front. For me, my biggest surprise for Byakuya comes in my favorite arc, the Fullbring arc. And I will have you know, a lot of us probably assumed Ichigo would fight Tsukishima.
Mm.
It's actually such a nice surprise when it's Byakuya who's matched up with him.
Mm.
And when you think about the people who are there, I don't necessarily think there's a better opponent against Tsukishima, because Byakuya is very versatile, and when he needs to be, he's quite cutthroat. And as much as I love the fight, my biggest surprise comes at the end, where he has a brief adaptation where he clutches the petals and then just thrusts it at him like it's a keto.
It did look like a keto attack.
It just like dices up his guts. And you're like, okay, I didn't even know he could do that. And this is like his first time executing the technique. And Tsukishima's like, how could you do that to me? I inserted myself as your master. We spent X amount of time together. And Byakuya's like, this goes back to that change, right?
Mm-hmm.
He told Rukia, she is my pride. And he says, all I need to kill you is to know that you're Ichigo's enemy. Ichigo changed Byakuya's trajectory so hard that all he needs to do to kill someone he supposedly has ties with is be against Ichigo. That is such a big surprise, because now we know that Byakuya is expanding his social circle, not just to family, but also friends.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
I agree. That's a good one. I actually like the dynamic when I saw those two originally fight, because they both got like long black hair, some type of like, I would say like pretty boy face, if you will.
Like a step above, Tsukishima has fucking suspenders.
Yeah.
Byakuya has a headpiece.
It was a really good dynamic with them two, and that's actually one of my favorite fights in that arc.
I would say the only great fight in the Fullbring arc.
I mean, I like Ichigo like just flexing on, Genjo.
Yeah, I love moments in other fights. I just think the Byakuya Tsukishima fight is the only fight that's like great from start to finish.
Oh yeah, it was really good character, and I think even just like kind of cool battle stuff. I think for peak moments for me, I think of the Ichigo fight, because I really liked seeing Byakuya just like calm and collected, and Ichigo was definitely going all out. It's just another one of those OG fights in Bleach that you just have to appreciate, and that you can go back to and be like, wow, Ichigo's really doing good here, but Byakuya has like could really kill him if like as that fight was leading up to before White took over. Trying to think of other peak moments that we haven't technically already mentioned throughout this entire.
I don't really think he has peak moments.
His peak moments are literally him getting his like inner character broken down and turn into someone that's a little more of a softy, not so noble.
I would say his peak moment would have been if he died.
Yeah, I think that would have been even I still consider that a peak moment.
It's just imagine if Rukiora came back in the 1,000-Year Blood War. That's what they did basically with Byakuya not dying. They had almost the entire thing wrapped up in a bow, and then you're like, you know what? We don't need the bow.
It's like, we can't pull the trigger out on that. And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, it's like we didn't even get that much more from him though. He got a cool hat. Like, I mean, that's about all I can think of for him. So that's all I can think of. I guess our last things are one of our favorite things about him. We've been kind of saying it throughout this entire episode. It's really his change. I think what makes Byakuya a good character is that we visually see the character changing and we see how it's impacting others around him, from whether it's Rukia, Ichigo, or even his squad members like Renji. That's one of my favorite things about Byakuya is that his willingness to go against what he is so prideful of and what he believes in, because I don't know how to describe the dynamic change. Like what do you want to call it? But it just shows that he's more than someone that's just like, I'm noble and I am going to stick to this. Like, he's someone that's defying that for the sake of others and for someone that's just getting a change of perspective, I believe. What do you got for your favorite thing about Byakuya?
I just really thought you would bring this up at some point.
Oh boy, what I miss now.
But I think Byakuya is another one of those excellently written characters when it comes to the tying of his personality, history, and his sword ability.
Oh man,
We talked a lot.
I was gonna do it. I thought we were just talking about our favorite things about him.
Yeah, we talked a lot about how Gin's just like the perfect embodiment of everything, but I think this also extends to Byakuya.
It does.
How,
it does. Take away.
You know, his history, his late wife loved cherry blossoms, and she held on just long enough to see them again, but she left him that parting wish of bringing in Rukia and treating her like his own.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about cherry blossoms is they only around for part of the year, part of the spring. Intense love, fleeting love. And that's what it seems like he had with Hisana. And while he has pride and things to hold true for as the head of the Kuchiki clan, at the center of that is Rukia and his promise to his late wife. And that he has to do better for her because there's only so much time left before those cherry blossoms fade.
Yeah. That's it. And now that you mention it, the fading of the cherry blossoms really goes back to him fading away from his old self. Someone that's so upholding his pride to his clan and going towards more things cares about more. Like with Hisana, like he loves her, and that love is extended into Rukia and even people around him. And I don't know how to describe that change of like why he wants to do it, other than because I don't know if it's because it feels right to him or because it's just what he loves. That's probably one of my favorite things about him. Another thing about his blade is that he's very calm and cool, and that's another thing how cherry blossoms are. They're very flow in the wind. They're very calm, but he is very cutthroat. I loved how the anime showed this of how Gerard's like on the ground and Gerard's like, huh. He starts talking again like as he's down, and Byakuya's like instantly absolutely just bloodies him up to like destroys him right in front of everyone. Was it Shinji that's like, yeah, no, yeah, we need it, we need to kill him. We don't want him to keep talking and unlock some crazy power. We got stuff to do, and that shows how like he's, even though he has that change in him, he's still very cold and a very cutthroat, figuratively and literally.
The way that cherry blossoms travel in the wind also translates well because I think Senpon Zakura Kageyoshi is one of the most versatile Bankai we've seen. The only other thing we've seen with like nearly as many techniques is Daigen Hyorimaru.
Oh yeah.
With the wind, ability to adapt and change to most circumstances.
What do you think his Zanpakuto spirit would be?
based on the Zanpakuto Tales arc that Kubo designed all of the Shinigami spirits for.
Isn't it not canon?
Is filler, but all of these sword spirits were designed by Kubo. And if you look at Rukia's Sodana Shirayuki, her sword spirit looks like almost identical to Rukia and Bankai.
Oh yeah.
And Ohana, as depicted in the filler arc, literally gets put into the canon material when Kyoraku activates Bankai.
Oh yeah, look at that.
His is an old-fashioned samurai with a very weird-looking mask.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm looking at it right now, yeah.
Yeah, very tight-laced.
Oh, that fits so well. You know, yeah, Kubo's such a great artist. Okay, never mind. That was a bonus question. Is there any other character relations Byakuya has that we can speak about?
Actually, we did skirt completely on the fucking Renji Byakuya power dynamic issue. And who knows if we'll pick Renji, but
I'm not. Once I get really desperate, but I mean, wasn't Yoriichi his master?
oh yeah. Yoroichi absolutely made fun of him.
I'll say yeah, she cooked him, saying that he was like always slower than her, or yeah, in terms of was Shunpo, was it?
Yeah.
And I think Yoriichi's like the only one that's like kind of gets like he gets his like stuff grinds his gears, but I think Yoriichi actually like does it pretty easily for him.
She triggers him.
Yeah, I think Ichigo is another one that kind of like grinded his gears a little bit, but I'm trying to think of any other captain that like has any interactions with him.
Byakuya and Kenpachi.
I mean, I guess yeah, there's a little rivalry there.
Yeah, but there's like nothing to talk about there.
Yeah, so they're rivals. I don't care for Soifone. I think that's about it. I mean, he has respect for the head captain, obviously, but so do all of them. So it's kind of like, yeah, I think we're good. I think we hit the nail on the head for Mr. Byakuya Kuchiki.